we didn't want it to leave our little circle as we were creating our story. So she has been hiding stuff. What a sneaky weasel. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to your favorite show on the internet, Raw Law Unfiltered, with your favorite host, the DUI Guy. Plus, today, folks, you're gonna see Jennifer McCabe make some admissions about the people that she has talked to and that she has never mentioned to anyone before about who she's been talking to. This is staggering, folks. You do not want to miss this episode. I mean, this is absolutely insane.
Page 2168, 515.
It's very hard to just look at two texts and try to understand what the context is.
Ms. McCabe, if you don't understand a question that I have, just let me know. But otherwise, let me ask a question. On page 2168, at 515, you wrote the group, quote, "You listening?" Correct?
Yes,
And at the same time, 515, you then wrote, "Cops here again," end quote, correct?
correct.
That was in reference to the police coming over to your house to further interview Carrie Roberts, wasn't it?
That was when they came to talk to me.
And Carrie Roberts was there,
Was
correct?
at my house, correct.
And a few minutes later at 5:23, Nicole Albert texts, "Call us after," correct?
Correct.
And a few minutes after that, Matt McCabe texts, quote, "This girl could write a book, ... nonstop," correct?
Correct.
So obviously Matt McCabe, along with you, was listening to Carrie Roberts give her interview.
We were sitting in the kitchen eating dinner with our children, and Carrie Roberts was in a different room, but she was going on and on and on,
How do you
as
know?
she does,
How do you know?
because they were in the other room.
And you could listen.
I could hear voices.
You could hear her interview with the police.
Did not hear her interview. I could hear them talking, but I was sitting at a table with my children eating dinner, getting ready to go to a basketball game.
You then responded to Matt McCabe, "I love it."
Yes,
And then you responded about this interview you just testified under oath and under penalty of perjury, not hearing anything about, just hearing voices. Your next text was, quote, "She is telling them everything,"
yes,
end quote. Correct?
yes.
So what really happened is Jennifer McCabe coached Carrie Roberts to tell the police exactly what she needed to tell them. And she was loving her work unfold. That's what was really happening. And now Jennifer McCabe is trying to do all these mental gymnastics to try and undo the damage that has been done. And she's failing at it. She's failing very miserably. And I don't think she knows it. I think she thinks that she's doing flawlessly. I really do. I think that she feels that she's doing fantastic, that she's doing a great job.
What you said just a few minutes ago about not knowing what she was saying, I could just hear voices. That was a lie.
It was.
Okay.
Objection.
Sustained.
And a couple of seconds later, Nicole Albert responds, one word. What was her response?
Good.
So in order, those texts say, "You listening?" You say, "You listening?"
Objection, Your Honor.
The objection sustained.
At the end of the day,
The jury heard it.
you were eavesdropping on an interview that Carrie Roberts was having with law enforcement in their official capacity, weren't you?
No, I was sitting eating dinner, and some of the things, obviously, I overheard. But I was not.
So now all of a sudden, I thought you just were hearing voices. Now her testimony is changing. No, I overheard something.
I'm saying there's a possibility if I'm sitting in this room eating dinner and someone's in another room talking, you can hear bits and pieces. Was I eavesdropping? No. Is there some big cover-up story? No.
Whoa. Hold on. No one is talking cover-up story here, lady. Why are you suddenly jumping up and down saying cover-up story? Explain thyself, woman.
Why, Ms. McCabe, does your testimony keep evolving?
Yeah.
A second ago, you said, you
Yeah.
told this jury, you said, I couldn't hear a thing. All I could hear was
Yes.
voices, like
Yes.
muffled voices from the other room. She was going on and on about something.
Yeah.
And then when I confronted you with the text message where you said, she's telling them everything, now it's, well, I may have heard a couple of things. Which
Yes.
is it?
No, she was going on and on and on like she does.
And you were listening on and on and on like you do.
I was probably hearing bits and pieces.
Finally caught in the web.
Why was it so important to report back to the group that you were happy that Carrie Roberts was saying, quote, everything?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
We had both lost our friend. Kerry Roberts
Here she goes.
was in shock, as was I in shock. The two of us had all this information that just kept coming back to us and back to us. And it's terrifying when you go through an experience and you're in shock. And Kerry was remembering things, I was remembering things. So I was happy for her that she was piecing it all together, and I had pieced it all together because at the end of the day, our friend was dead, and we were trying to figure out what had happened to him together. There was no direction. We were all trying to figure out what had happened because that's what you do when you lose somebody you love.
Are you listening to her words? Are you watching her face? Her words do not match her face. Am I the only one? The emotion that is coming out of her mouth, we lost a friend. Like she looks confrontational rather than emotional. That's not what you do when you lose a friend. Maybe when you kill someone. Yes.
Were you happy for her, or were you happy for you and Brian and Matt and Nicole?
For me and for her, because we were going through this together. There was no conversation.
Got the story out that you're trying to get out through Carrie Roberts. Right?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
There is no story. There's facts and truth on this side. There's no story. The story that you've created is not the truth.
Did I create I hit him, or did you?
That's fact.
A fact that conveniently you didn't mention in your report to Lank, grand jury, nothing, right? That kind of fact.
Objection.
Is that right?
That is the fact I mentioned. So in some reports, it's there.
It's not.
Fact is, you wanted to keep very close tabs on Carrie Roberts, didn't you?
No.
Look at that death stare, that death glare that she has. Oh, she can't stand Alan Jackson.
On January 29th, if you look on page 2223, did you text the group, quote, Carrie talked to cops and kept it simple, end quote.
Yes.
Okay, it's becoming a habit for you to keep tabs on Carrie Roberts, isn't it? In these
Objection.
Sustained.
Terry has become a
texts.
messenger.
You'll agree that over and over and over and over again, you're reporting to this tight group, Nicole, Brian Albert, your husband, how Carrie's doing in her stories to the police, aren't you? Over and over and over.
I am telling them what is going on. I wouldn't say it. Well, let's count them. Was there 4 of them? You're saying over and over and over and over. It's a bit extreme.
I see. So you take issue with the way that I phrased over and over and over.
Well, it's misleading, I believe.
I see. Okay. Well, let me see if I can try this in a non-misleading way, Mr. McCabe.
Okay.
There was one
By the way,
else.
when he's saying, let me try this in a non-misleading way, he's really talking about her.
I'll withdraw it. You consistently reported back to the group how Carrie Roberts was doing with the police, didn't you?
I would update them after Kerry saw and spoke to the police. Again, we were all trying to figure out what had happened to John.
She's trying to qualify every answer to maintain control of the narrative, and she has already lost the battle. Let's see if she loses the war.
There's yet another text from Brian's wife, Nicole, on January 29th, and this is on page 2226. And she says, quote, "We'll get more info tomorrow. Don't want to text about it," end quote. And then you texted, right, correct?
Correct.
What's that about?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Fair question.
We decided that we would talk on the phone. My children look on my phone. Her children look on her phone. We were working with the police. I was sharing information and everything that had happened. We didn't want it to leave our little circle because we were trying to figure out what happened, and we're not going to go running around letting people see, oh my gosh, they think this might have happened or that might have happened.
We didn't want it to leave our little circle as we were creating our story. That's the words that she did not mention. She accidentally, I think in her exhaustion, let a little bit of truth slip. We did not want it to leave our little circle. That's the one bit of truth we've got out of Jennifer McCabe in, what episode is this? 9? It's crazy.
It was nothing more than, let's not text about it.
So you wanted to keep it, in your words, in your little circle, correct?
Correct. I didn't want it
And Alan Jackson caught on to that.
all out there what we had thought had happened. I was going to let the police do their job.
So by definition, the info that Nicole Albert was talking about, that needed to be kept very tight, very secret, correct?
We needed the police to do their job, so we weren't going.
Texts, and Nicole wanted her texts, and the group wanted their texts to be kept secret and private. Isn't that right?
Not secret and private. We just weren't going to communicate certain things over text.
Did you give, or did anybody give you any private information the next day on January 30th?
Didn't even give me private information.
So let me put it in context. That text from Nicole Albert, we'll get more info tomorrow. I don't want to text about it. That was on the 29th, right?
Okay.
You saw it. Did you get additional info on the 30th, the next day?
I have no idea.
Did anything significant happen on January 30th in connection with this case? Any meetings, any get-togethers, anything that you can think of?
I went to the O'Keefe's house.
Other than that, anything else?
On the way home, Kerry Roberts' daughter is good friends with Michael Lank. So we dropped her off at Michael Lank's house, and Mike's wife came out of the house. Him and Kerry are friends, and she, jumped in the car and was consoling Kerry and asks how the O'Keefes were doing, and, we talked to her.
So you pulled up to Michael Lank's house on the 30th. That's never been reported, has it?
I guess I never thought much of it.
Never thought.
You didn't think much of pulling up to a police officer's... What? No, it's not important.
Reporting the fact that one of the first responding officers on the case, working for Canton PD, which is conflicted off the case, you had a meeting with, it was unreported the next day?
I didn't meet with Michael Lank.
I see. So you pulled up in the car. Tell me about that again. You pulled up in the car, and what happened?
And Lex, her daughter, went into the house.
Okay. And then you just drove away?
No, Michael's wife came out of the house.
Okay. And y'all had a conversation about what?
She got in the car and her and Kerry are friends, and she was checking on Kerry and, just saying, oh my God, this is so crazy, just checking in on the O'Keefes.
How long did that take?
Well, Kerry's a talker, so could have been an hour
Could have been an hour standing outside,
sitting in the car.
sitting in the car on February 30th. Never came in the house?
Not February 30th.
I said February 30th, January 30th. Never went in the house?
I might have ran in to go to the bathroom.
It's the back end of a blizzard. It's freezing cold outside. Sitting in the car for an hour?
The car was running, Kerry, and they were talking. It's her friend.
Did you have any conversation before your testimony today with anybody about you going to Michael Lang's house on January 30th? Anybody?
Yes,
Tell me about that. Who was it and when?
it was a couple of weeks ago at the DA's office.
The DA's office had an interview with you, correct?
Not an interview, they just explained this process.
I mean, a conversation? How about that?
Yes.
You met with folks at the DA's office. Who'd you meet with?
Mr. Lally, Miss McLaughlin, Steve Nelson, Trooper Brian Tully, I believe, and another woman, I can't remember her name, unfortunately.
Someone from the DA's office?
Yes.
Beelan?
No.
Lynn Beelan?
No, she's here today. She works with Steve Nelson.
Ah, but an employee of the DA's office.
Yes.
That sounds like a pretty big meeting.
I wouldn't call it a big meeting. There was, 5 of them?
How long did you, 5 of them, and then you, right?
My daughter Allie came with me also.
The meeting's getting bigger. Anybody else?
No, we both went.
Was Allie in the room when you were, I was going to say interviewed, but you take issue with every word I use. When you were talked to by the DA?
Allie and I were both in the room when they went over everything, how this all works, because this is all brand new to us. And then they asked me to leave the room.
You were about to say, and I lost the end of that sentence, when they received what?
I didn't mean the word received.
Did you receive anything?
No, I looked at my grand jury notes.
Now, at this meeting, was anybody taking notes?
No.
You have a bunch of lawyers and DAs, and nobody has a notepad in front of them? Like notes?
I believe Mr. Lally had a number of folders on the table.
Taking notes in your...
I do not believe anyone was taking notes. It was a casual meeting to explain this process.
Was that meeting recorded in any way that you're aware of?
No.
How long did the meeting last?
Allie and I were probably in the room, I don't know, approximately 20 minutes. Then I left and they spoke with her, and then I went back in and they spoke with me.
How long did they speak with you?
Honestly, maybe half hour.
And during that half hour to an hour, did they go over with you what they expected your testimony to be?
They never spoke about what they expected my testimony to be. They just showed me some pictures that might be shown. I listened to the 911,
What pictures?
just of the house and how I'd be asked to, show. Okay, we're going to put a picture of the house and you'll have a laser.
Ms. McCabe, when we started this conversation, it was because you said, in answer to my question, was anything ever brought up to you about this meeting at Lank's house?
Mm-hmm.
You said yes.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously they did talk to you about your testimony. It wasn't just about the process, correct?
Exactly.
I asked what discovery had been turned in regard to me.
So you wanted to prepare to make sure that you knew what you might be asked on cross-examination, correct?
I wanted to know what was coming, yes.
And you knew that one of the things was coming after this meet. Well, let me ask it a different way.
And by the way, just for the record, so you all understand like how this is all unfolding, Jennifer McCabe thinks she's smart by covering her tracks by saying like, well, there was a meeting and we only talked about XYZ. But you just mentioned that you talked about arriving at Lank's house. Oh yeah, well, that was just one little no one believes that. Do you understand that, Jennifer, or do you not understand? It is absolutely baffling and fascinating to me that she thinks that by her saying what she's saying that people actually believe the words coming out of her mouth. It's staggering.
During this meeting, did Mr. Lally tell you one of the things that's going to be coming is you had an off-the-books meeting at Lank's house for 45 minutes. Did he tell you that?
No, that's not how I was told.
Did he tell you that the defense had uncovered a report that established that you were actually at Michael Lank's house for 45 minutes that had never been reported to the defense or the prosecution before the phone extraction had been done?
Ah, so she has been hiding stuff. And only when the phone extraction was completed, then and only then was it discovered. Wow, what a sneaky weasel. So she has been going around town saying one thing when in reality something else completely different has been happening. And only when she got caught did she have to own up to it.
Did he tell you that?
I was asked, oh, were you at Michael Lank's on the 30th?
So you've had a lot of time to come up with a story about why you were at Michael Lank's, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
I didn't need time to make up a story because I have the truth of why we went.
And the truth, according to you, is you pulled up at Michael Lank's house. The first responding officer and friends of the Alberts had a meeting with him the next day that was never reported to anybody for any purpose.
I
Just met with his wife out in the car while the car was running for 45 minutes to an hour. That's your story.
It's not a story, it's the truth. Carrie dropped her daughter off. The wife came out. Carrie is a talker. They started talking. A tragedy had happened the day before.
It is interesting, would you not agree, that the day before you had this off-the-books meeting at Michael Lank's house, Nicole Albert says, we'll get more info tomorrow, meaning the very day you show up at Lank's house.
Again, I never spoke with Mike Lank at his house. It was not an off-the-books meeting. It was Carrie dropping her daughter at one of her good friends' house, whose husband happens to be a Canton cop. That is what it is. That is the truth.
And a lot of coincidences. Do you agree?
Objection.
It's true. There's a lot of coincidences here. It's a valid question. The jury heard it. That's all that matters.
May I have just 12 year
Yes.
By the way, what did Mr. Lally show you in respect of this issue about this meeting at Michael Lank's house?
He showed me nothing.
He just told you about it.
Brian Tully told me.
Okay, what did Mr. Tully tell you? Trooper Tully. What exactly did he tell you at this meeting about this Michael Lank issue?
He said, did you go to Michael Lank's on January 30th? And at first I said, no, I've never been to his house. And then I thought about it and I said, oh my gosh, yes, I did go there. And that was the extent of the conversation.
You said, yeah, I did go there, and he didn't ask a follow-up, like, what the heck were you doing at Michael Lank's house the day after this issue?
Objection.
This incident.
I'll allow it.
He didn't ask a follow-up like that?
I do not believe he did.
So, Trooper Tully, had you come down for an interview, he confronted you with a fact that had never been disclosed before, to wit, you showed up at Michael Lank's house, and when you said, yeah, oh yeah, hang on, I think your words were, oh my gosh, yeah, I think I did go there. And he didn't ask a follow-up question?
He was there You're
Yes,
you're
no?
you're spinning all of this.
You're
Ma'am,
spinning
I do a
all
lot
of
of
this.
things.
Yeah.
I don't spin. There's a judge here to make sure that I don't spin. I'm asking you a question. It's very direct.
I do not believe he asked me a follow-up question.
So that was the end of that conversation about Michael Lang, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Lally didn't have any follow-up questions.
I don't believe Mr. Lally was in the room.
Who else? I thought you said Mr. Lally, Ms. McLaughlin. I thought-
They were. They might not have been in the room at that time.
I see. So Mr. Lally just happened to, just saunter out?
It was a different time.
Oh my God.
So Mr. Lally was in and out of the conversation?
Mr. Lally was not there when this conversation happened.
I don't understand.
Why is that?
Because I met with Brian Tully and he was not there.
Is Brian Tully taking notes?
No.
He's a state trooper interviewing a witness and
He was
notebook in front of him?
Objection.
sustained.
The same report that has you at Michael Lang's house also has you picking up Nicole Albert going by 34 Fairview just before you went to Michael Lang's house. You aware of that?
We did not pick up Nicole Albert.
So you went by 34 Fairview, then diverted, and right after you went by 34 Fairview, went directly over to Michael Lang's house. What was the reason that you stopped by 34 Fairview first?
We didn't stop by. Maybe Carrie slowed down, but we did not stop by 34.
So you drove by, did a drive-by 34 Fairview for giggles? What?
No, that's how we get to Michael Lang's house.
If the report shows that you actually stopped at 34 Fairview and then went to Michael Lang's house, would we have another oh my gosh moment?
Nope, no oh my gosh moment. We did not pick up Nicole Albert.
Did anybody else go with you over to Michael Lang's house?
No, it was Carrie, myself, and her daughter.
Your Honor, maybe approach briefly.
Okay.
I hope you all learned something today, folks. We're going to stop it here. Episode 10 will premiere next, and you will get to see the following day of Jennifer McCabe's testimony. I think this day has a little bit more to go, so we will finish that up in the next episode, and then we will go to the following day. And that one, I heard, is going to be insane. It is basically the Hast long to die in the cold admissions, folks. So I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you all are having a good time. And I will see you all tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, unless it's still trial, in which case I'll see you at 9 if it's a trial day. Bye, everybody.